let us proceed. What are the sources of law? You might be wondering, ay ano naman po yung sources ng law? Okay. As a general level, there are various sources of law depending on the theory na gagamitin mo or depending on the perspectives na gagamitin mo. Okay. I would enumerate some and major common sources of laws para sa ating lahat. Number one, we have legislation. Okay. When we speak of legislation, legislation is derived from the term legis, which means law, legal, Latin terms, okay? And latum, which means to make. That's why legislatum or legislation means to make laws. Okay? Yun yung legislation. Legislation is a source of law which consists in the declaration of legal rules by competent authority. In our jurisdiction, competent authority, as I told you, would be Congress, which is composed of two chambers, House of Representatives and the Senate. Okay. Legislation also refers to the formal utterances of the legislative organs of the society. Ito yung mga formal utterances or opinions or expressions ng ating legislative bodies. So, yan yung tinatawag nating legislation. Nanggagaling dito yung mga Republic Acts natin, nanggagaling dito yung mga statutory laws. So, yan yung tinatawag nating legislation. Sa Pilipinas, Congress ang may ano niyan, may authority diyan sa legislatum na yan. Sandali magpa-accept lang tayo ng mga classmates. Okay. The next source of law is judicial precedence. Okay. When we speak of judicial precedence, this refers to the jurisprudence. Okay. These are regarded as important source of law sa lahat halos ng legal system sa buong mundo. Okay. In fact, some writers would disregard minsan itong mga precedent na ito because as valid source of law kasi sabi nila, these are just interpretations of statutory laws or the Constitution. So minsan hindi na yan kino-considered as source of law. Pero as a general rule, ang judiciary naglalabas sila ng mga judicial precedents and this would form part of the law of the land. So, ang tawag dyan, jurisprudence. Okay? So, that is what we call jurisprudence. So, whatever decisions made by the Supreme Court, kung ano man ang mga decisions nila, it would become part of the law of the land. So kaya yan ay mga source din ng batas. Okay? Kaya nga may konsepto tayo ng stare decisis. Mayroon tayong konsepto ng stare decisis. This is a doctrine where or policy of following rules or principles laid down in previous judicial decisions unless they contravene ordinary principles of justice. Ibig sabihin, ang ibig sabihin ng stare decisis, kung anuman ang nadesisyonan na ng Supreme Court or nadesisyonan ng highest court of the land, ito ay magiging parte ng batas. Okay? Ito ay susundin bilang prinsipyo ng batas unless sila ay nagko-contradict sa mga ordinaryong prinsipyo ng katarungan. Okay? Yan yung tinatawag nating stare decisis. Okay? Yan yung jurisprudence. Sa Pilipinas, hindi pwedeng yung desisyon lamang yan ng metropolitan courts. Hindi pwedeng desisyon lang yan ng regional trial courts. Hindi pwedeng desisyon lang ng Court of Appeals. Kung hindi, ang ibig sabihin ng jurisprudence, desisyon ito ng highest court of the land or the decisions of the Supreme Court. Okay? Meaning, the decision of the Supreme Court becomes binding upon all courts. So, kaya nagiging batas din sila. Okay? That would be the second source or major source of common law. Next, we have customs. Okay? Ang susunod na source ng batas ay ang customs. So, what is custom? Ano yung mga customs na yan? Customs are embodiment of principles of justice which have been appealed to national conscience. Meaning these customs are rules of human actions which have been established by continuous usage and have the force of law and are applied by the courts. Meaning, ito yung mga kustumbre na sinusunod ng ating mga kilos, pero ito ay ginagamit natin for a long period of time and they have the force of law and in fact, they are being applied by the courts. Sinusunod sila ng batas. Sinusunod sila ng batas. Kaya nga, napaka-importante sa atin ng mga kustumbre. Now, there are two types of customs. Meron tayong tinatawag na legal custom, meron tayong tinatawag na conventional custom. Question, what is legal custom? Legal customs are those customs which have the full force of law, meaning regardless whether the parties accepted the custom or not, it's still binding upon them. So kahit na wala, ayaw kong tanggapin yung custom na yan wala. Pag legal custom, binding pa rin sa'yo yan. Okay? Wala kang magagawa. As against conventional custom. Pag conventional custom, this is only binding upon the parties who have agreed na ito ay maging binding sa kanila. Meaning to say, these are established practices which have been agreed by the parties sa isang agreement or kontrata sa kanilang dalawa. Between them. This is a contract between them. Kaya nga, magiging binding lang ang conventional custom kapag ka ito ay pinayagan mong maging binding sa'yo. Unlike legal custom, whether ayaw mo maging binding sa iyo o hindi, mayroon niyang character ng isang batas at kailangan mo siyang sundin, whether you accept the custom or not. Can you follow? Now, you might be asking the question, Sir, paano magiging valid ang custom sa mata ng batas? Okay. Kailangan, for a custom to be valid, as I have already indicated earlier on, for a custom to be valid, it should be in existence for a long period of time. Kailangan na matagal na yung nandyan. Ang tawag nila dyan, kailangan it should be immemorial. Sa lipunan ninyo, ang tagal ng ganyan ng kustumbre, so kailangan mo nang sundin. Kailangan, the custom must be reasonable. Kailangan hindi siya illogical. Kailangan katanggap-tanggap siya ng reason mo. Otherwise, hindi siya magiging valid sa mata ng batas. And a custom should be continuously observed mula nung na-introduce siya. Okay? Sa tagal-tagal na, yun na yung sinusunod ng buong lipunan. So, it is valid in the eyes of the law. And it should not be uncertain or indefinite. It should be definite. It should be certain. Okay? And the observance of this custom must be compulsory. And then, kailangan universal din siya at general din ang application niya. Okay? And custom to be valid in the eyes of law should not be contrary to public policy and principles of morality. Otherwise, kung magbabiolate yung kustumbre sa mga public policy at prinsipyo ng moralidad, definitely hindi yan valid sa mata ng batas. And most importantly, the custom must not be violative or in conflict with statutory law of the country. Kailangan hindi siya magba-violate ng batas. Okay? It should not be violative of public policy. It should not be in conflict with principles of morality. And it should not be in conflict with statutory law. Tatandaan nyo yon. Hindi pwedeng, eto na yung nakagawian namin eh. Kahit nakagawian nyo yan, bawal naman sa batas yung nakagawian nyo, bawal sa moralidad, bawal sa public policy, kweng pa rin yan. It cannot be considered as valid in the eyes of the law. Okay? Do you have any question, class? Okay. Lastly, the common source of law are those professional opinions or juristic writings by juries or experts in the legal profession. Okay? So, yung mga opinion ng mga experts, mga legal scholars and thinkers, legal professionals, nagiging part din yan at popular source din yan ng batas. Okay? Nagiging part siya ng batas. Minsan, sabi nila, they should not be sources of law, but rather supplement to the sources of law. Hindi sila per se sources of law kasi sinusupplement lang nila yung ibang sources of law, particularly yung jurisprudence. But syempre, as a general rule, kinukonsider na rin itong source ng batas. What if there is no decision made by the Supreme Court and yet there is a legal opinion that was written by an expert about the issue, then it becomes a deciding factor doon sa interpretation ng batas or mismong sa batas. Okay? Those are professional opinions or juristic writings. All right, balikan natin. The common sources of law would be number one, we have legislation, mga batas, statutory, galing sa mga authorities natin na tagagawa ng batas or legislative body. Number two, yung jurisprudence or judicial precedence. Of course. Number four, yung customs. And next would be professional opinions and juristic writings. Do you have any question, class? There would be some references na makikita kayo. Well, sabi niyo ang dami naman palang sources ng law eh. But I am always looking for a source na pwede mo nang ilagay yung ibang mga sources sa mga general sources. Kaya you can subsume one minor source of law papunta doon sa major source of law. Kaya yan yung mga napili kong sources of law.